Deadpool co-creator Fabian Nicieza, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, decided to weigh in on Gina Carano's lawsuit, made an absolute fool of himself, and then admitted he had no clue what he was even talking about from the get-go. You really cannot make this up. Before we get to this, I'd like to ask you, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at the Trent Report. This is over at thatparkplace.com. You can see Fabian there during an appearance at New York Comic Con around 9 years ago, courtesy of the Marvel Entertainment YouTube channel. But he reacted to this post on X from The Hollywood Reporter, a quote of Joe Benarak, I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong as well, who's on part of X. And he said, as a sign of X Corp's commitment to free speech, we're proud to provide financial support for Gina Carano's lawsuit, empowering her to seek vindication of her free speech rights on X. So Fabian Nicieza was not happy about that. And this is what he posted. On what planet did she not have free speech? She was and still is completely allowed to express her views, from Twitter to Hollywood Reporter to a street corner with a megaphone. Do any of you freedomers understand the concept of consequences from what you freely said? So clearly making a fool of himself, doesn't realize that she was fired for making her posts, indicating that they were indeed trying to restrict what she was saying and influence what she was saying via her employment with Lucasfilm and the Walt Disney Company. It's really not that hard to figure this out. You don't have to be a lawyer to see that. But Fabian, clearly not the smartest individual out there, not the sharpest tool in the shed. He would be quickly exposed by John's Longbox, who posted this. I don't follow Star Wars. What exactly did she say that was so bad? Fabian responded, I didn't pay much attention. So he's commenting on something he literally says he did not pay much attention to, that he doesn't know anything about, right? Nevertheless, he goes on to list off the things that he thinks she said. I think it was anti-vax, anti-LGBTQ stuff, but I was pretty indifferent to that noise. I don't think Disney fired her. They chose not to renew the option on her contract, and I care more about the lawyer's BS than hers. So obviously now trying to pivot to what the X person was saying, rather than his initial complaint, which, as you can see here, was about Gina's free speech. And then John's Longbox continued to humiliate this guy after he walked right into his trap. He says, so you don't know what she said, but you think she got what she deserved. And then, just to show how dumb he truly is, Fabian Nicieza says, John, go stick a comic up your butt, preferably a Treasury edition. So he's completely lost the argument. He's just throwing out ridiculous insults now to try and make himself feel better, because he knows he got completely and utterly clowned on. And he clowned himself, honestly. The guy asked a simple question, and he just exposed himself as a complete and utter Nimrod. And then Fabian says, I knew you were baiting debate, but I gave you the benefit of the doubt. Except if you knew, you wouldn't have walked right into his trap that he set for you. Jeez, these people, their egos are so big, they can't even realize when they're wrong and that they've absolutely failed. Like, on one level, he does realize that he completely messed up, but on the other level, he can't actually admit that because his pride is so big. He's like, I'm still smarter than you, even though you outwitted me with a simple question. He went on and said, Disney thought whatever she said warranted a preference to not be associated with her. So my opinion isn't even a part of the equation. Except that's the whole point of his questioning you, is about your opinion on the equation. And your opinion is what brought him to ask the question, because your opinion is so utterly ridiculous and detached from reality. And then again, he tried to make himself feel better. Said, and the lawyer is babbling about free speech rights, and that's what my tweet was referring to, i.e. his BS on the subject and the constant misinterpretation of what the First Amendment means. Done. Again, the dude literally has no clue what's going on. He doesn't realize that this is a lawsuit filed in the state of California, and it is dealing with California statutes. He would be informed of this, though. He would be informed of this. Blue Acre would inform him just a couple hours later. about that it's in California and there's California laws on the books. And he says, I'm sure it's complicated, as with any contract that goes year to year with a company opinion on renewal, which I'm guessing is the case with the supporting actors in a show like The Mandalorian. I don't know how you can legally even consider it being fired in that case. So he's clearly gone. You can just see how this guy's moved the goalposts. He went from attacking Gina, saying it wasn't free speech, to now he's like, oh, well, she wasn't really fired. He's completely like lost the whole free speech argument. And now he's trying to go, I'm like, oh, well, it wasn't really fired. So he's really trying to like be some, I mean, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for him. I pity this dude. So sad. He should have just said, yeah, I got it wrong. I shouldn't have said that. My whole worldview is wrong. And I apologize. And I'm going to educate myself on what reality actually looks like. So we do have a legal analyst opinion here. Andrew Esquire has commented on this. He actually reads the statutes that are cited in the complaint, the lawsuit. And just look, we'll just look at the first one here, right? He addresses the main complaint, which is the wrongful discharge in the state of California. And he explained that it requires, quote, no employer shall make, adopt, or enforce any rule, regulation, or policy forbidding or preventing employees from engaging or participating in politics or from becoming candidates for public office, controlling or directing or tending to control or direct the political activities or affiliations of employees. And then this is Andrew's opinion here. He says, political speech is a political activity. They terminated her based on her posts, which were political in nature, which was trying to forbid her from engaging in politics, therefore controlling her. I think that's abundantly clear. We have the anonymous statement from the Lucasfilm spokesman that clearly indicated that she was indeed fired for her social media posts that they described as denigrating, I believe is the word they used. I have to go back and double check that. But obviously, they were saying that Gina was being disparaging to certain groups and all of this stuff, which complete and utter lies. Andrew then went to cite another portion of the law and says, it goes on to say, no employers shall coerce, influence, or by any means threaten of discharge or loss of employment to adopt, follow, or restrain from adopting any particular course or line of political action or activity. He then shared his opinion. They're dead to rights on this. They're dead to rights on this. This fits neatly with this statute. Everything we've heard from Gina Carano is they were indeed trying to get her to change her opinions. They tried to get her to publicly apologize. They tried to get her to push a statement that she disagreed with. They had her go meet with people at GLAAD to try and re-educate her on the use of pronouns and things like this. The company was clearly trying to coerce her to change her political opinions. It's very obvious they tried to get her onto a struggle session. The lawsuit claims that Kathleen Kennedy was going to be leading it, and it would also include around 45 members, including the Acolyte showrunner Leslie Headland, that were going to berate her. The company also employees of the company also engaged in a GoFundMe that was defaming Gina as calling her bigoted, and clearly trying to run this GoFundMe specifically to attack her. And then once she brought that to Lucasfilm, the GoFundMe was changed, which indicates that it was potentially being run by the company itself, not just the individual employees. So I think Andrew's 100% right on this. They are dead to rights on this. I think Gina has a really strong case. There's a reason why this is the first one going forward from Elon Musk, and he's expecting more will go forward as well. And Elon has even targeted their entire inclusion standards, claiming that they potentially violate numerous legal statutes, probably both federal and at the state level. So we will see what happens. But clearly, Fabian Nicieza was just trying to virtue signal what side of the political aisle he was on by going after Gina Carano and her supporters. And he had absolutely no clue what he was doing aside from virtue signaling. He admits that he did not pay attention to anything that happened with Gina. He then admits moving forward that he really has no clue what's going on in his own mind when it comes to these things, except that he needs to virtue signal for a specific team. And I wonder, I think he's still probably working for Marvel. So one wonders if he is being coerced and he doesn't even realize it to put out statements such as that. But our enemies are pretty stupid, and we should easily be able to defeat them. We just have to have the will to do that. But those are my thoughts on the matter. Let me know what you make of this. Remember to always be charitable, but to always speak the truth.